Everyone. So Dennis Schroder is officially in his first open practice with the Los Angeles Lakers and is expected to start ramping up and getting ready to join the team for the preseason and then the regular season. And if you remember correctly, Dennis Schroder, there were all the reports of how Dennis Schroder fumbled the bag. The Lakers offered him 4 years, $84 million. He turned it down, ended up becoming a journeyman the last few years, and now has re-signed with the Lakers for a vet minimum, $2.4 million. And he has put it that he wanted to make amends. He wanted to right a wrong that he felt. Even today, he reiterated that. But he also said something that was very interesting. He said, end of the day, there never was a contract. Schroder says, per ESPN's Dave McMenamin, there never was a contract. Never rejected anything. That's not true. Now, Dennis Schroder is claiming that there was never a formal contract, that the Lakers never gave him a contract and he never rejected it, right? That there was never really a contract is what he said, which I think is key. And I do find this interesting because all the reports, all of the talks, everything, even the way Dennis Schroder responded about fumbling the bag and all that stuff, right? He was making fun of it and poking at it. Why now would you say that there was never a contract, but you never said that back then? And instead, all of your actions and all of your responses and stuff were the opposite, right? Now, look, the Lakers very likely never gave him a formal contract because they were in negotiations and he rejected it. So is Schroder wrong that there was no contract? No, he probably isn't wrong. He probably is right that there was no contract. But the idea of him saying that, no, I didn't, his actions and the things that he relayed back then, if you go look at past tweets and stuff like that and just past interviews and things like that, he said it, he's betting on his future, all that stuff, he'll be fine. And then he goes and takes the, 5.9 million deal or whatever it was, things like that. I don't really buy it. I don't buy that Dennis Schroder wasn't offered that. Now, putting in a formal offer and putting in a contract are two different things. When you're doing negotiations, the Lakers probably relayed to him, this is what we're willing to give you, this is what we're willing to pay. And Dennis Schroder said, no, I don't want that. And so the Lakers never offered him a contract. So he's not wrong, he's not lying, he's not making that up, but he's not telling the whole truth is the thing that I kind of see here. It seems like, he's trying to say hey, they never really made a formal offer because there was never really a contract. If there was a contract, I never turned down a contract. Yeah, because you turned down their offer, and so the Lakers never extended you a contract. Why would they extend you a contract if you're rejecting the offers? They're not going to go and waste the time putting everything together for you just to not sign it. Okay, so then Dennis Schroder leaves and all that stuff. Nonetheless, look, that's the rearview mirror. I don't really care whether that happened or whether that not happened. The only thing I care is that Dennis Schroder comes in and is a better version of himself than he was last time. Because whether the contract thing or whatever is true or not, the fact of the matter is that Dennis Schroder was not a guy that you really wanted long-term on the Lakers. And I really think the Lakers really benefited by Schroder just not accepting that, right? And I do think it's odd that Schroder now, out of all time, says that that never happened, that was a lie. But why wouldn't you relay that in the time the information was happening? And at the time, everybody, why would you joke about, you fumbled all this money and don't worry, you're going to make it back and you're going to make them, all of your actions, all of your words proved that the reports were right, and now you're trying to say no, a contract was never there. And I just think that the reason I mention that is I think that alludes to the behavior he was that year. Right, he came in, even in his interviews and stuff, he was walking around like he was, king of the world, right? He was the best player in the league, and I love a good chip on your shoulder. I love a good, arrogance to you. You need that. These guys are competitors. I love that. The things Patrick Beverley says sometimes, some people hate it. I love it. That dog that just when he's what's your favorite LeBron moment? He's where I blocked him. And then they ask him, how does it feel playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis? He's like, I made the playoffs, not them. They should be happy to play with me. Stuff I love that stuff. I do. I love that grit. I love that just like I'm that dude. But there's levels to that. There is just like that competitive nature, that like dog, and then there's just you think you don't understand the kind of player you really are, and you don't really understand your role in this league. And there's a big difference between those two. And I think Dennis Schroder previously believed he was a bigger star than what he really was. I think all the talks of the sixth man and then the Lakers going and trading for him and all that stuff, I think really got to his head. And he, being the starting point guard, thought like, I'm this guy, I'm that. And look, when him, LeBron, and Anthony Davis were on the court together, they were a plus 15.5. So Schroder was really good with those guys. And Schroder, I think, does have a lot of talent and a lot of value. And I do think Dennis Schroder is worth a lot more than the $2.4 million that he's making this season. But I think that his actions and just the way that he has really been his Achilles heel. I mean, even the Celtics could not get rid of him faster, because of just his play and just how he was in the locker room. And unless he's going to humble himself and is willing to accept a role, which is something that I've reiterated here on several occasions, like he's not worth it. Like, he's very talented. He could be a huge contribution to the right team, but only if he's going to buy in and be a part of the system and accept his role. You're only as good as you truly are, and you're only as good as you're fit with a team. And if you end up making yourself unfittable and all of these teams, eventually you're going to run out of options and you're going to be playing overseas or something like that. If you want to stay in the NBA, he's got to understand, okay, I'm not the best player on a team. I am a very good player, and I could fit in a very good role, and I could really help a team win a championship. And let me come in, let me play defense, let me, facilitate, let me run and do what I am good at. I really think Dennis Schroder could have some longevity in this league. He's still really young, and he still has a lot of potential, and he's still in the right situation, I think, could really thrive. And I do think Dennis Schroder wants to do that. I think he came back to the Lakers because he's hoping that he can prove himself and he can, and he can get a long-term contract. I believe he really liked being in LA. I believe that he really wanted to be in LA. And I just think that he just let his ego get the best of him. And now he's in a position to where he has a second chance to make amends. And I do think if he does do that, the Lakers will likely keep him long-term, and he's going to get a better contract. Now, I don't think he's worth, 20 million, something like that. But 8 to 10 million a year, I could see that. If the Lakers signed him to a 4-year, $40 million deal, I wouldn't be against that at all. I think that would be fine. I think that could work for Dennis Schroder, and I think that could work for the Lakers. Because I do think he has a lot of value as a starting guard, especially next to LeBron James, or a backup guard. And I think a lot of that has to do with why Schroder signed again with the Lakers. I think, one, yes, he wants to make amends, but even then, it made no sense for Schroder to really sign on with the Lakers. He looked at, and that was a big question too, is he looked at this, it was all the Lakers have our guards. Where are you going to fit in and where are you going to play? And yes, I do believe the Lakers will make it work. They're going to run Schroder at the backup point guard. You're going to have Beverly and Nunn at the 2 guard, stuff like that. You're going to have probably a lot of dual guard lineups, even running 3 guards, stuff like that. I do think Schroeder's going to play, but he even said that there were other teams that made offers, and very likely there were other teams that would have taken him, and he could have played a more prominent role. The Wizards could really use a starting point guard, right? I mean, they have Monty Morris and DeLon Wright, right? But neither of those guys are your starting point guard. Especially Monty Morris is more of a 2 guard than he is a point guard, where I think Dennis Schroder would have gotten to start. He would have gotten to play. He would have, I think, made a real impact with the Wizards. There are other teams, according to Schroder, that were willing to offer him deals, especially after his performance in Germany. And so why would you forego that to come back to the Lakers that is just logjam at guard? I think, and I don't know Schroder or anything like that. I could be completely wrong, but I think his actions have shown that he wants to be in LA. He wants to find a home that he can stay at long term. And I think that he wants a second chance to prove okay, I can buy in, I can be that guy. So that way hopefully the Lakers now actually extend him a contract. Only this time it's not going to be $84 million. It's going to be probably half of that. And here you go. Here's, 40 million a year, or 40 million over 4 years, something along those lines. That's what I think will end up happening. Or if even if the Lakers don't extend it, if he plays well enough, improves himself, which the Lakers is a huge spotlight and a great place to do that. We saw that with Malik Monk, Alex Caruso, guys like that, who were able to come in and show like, hey, I can be this type of player, and then got contracts elsewhere. So Dennis Schroder could be looking at it that way of like, if I go to the Lakers, one, I'll get the spotlight, I'll get the shine. If I can prove myself, maybe the Lakers will give me that contract and have me stay here long term. But if not, maybe another team will see, okay, like that dude is not the same player he once was, and then they will offer me a longer contract. I think that it's kind of a win-win situation for Schroder. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think of this information? Do you think like Schroder's right? Do you think he's kind of not telling the whole truth? Again, I don't know the situation. I really don't. I mean, maybe he is 100% right, but just all the things that happened back then in the 2020, 2021 year, does it make sense to what he's saying right now? I mean, all the countless reports, all of Schroder's words and actions and the things that he was saying and all that stuff, like it just doesn't add up to me. But I think he's telling a half-truth, not a whole truth. But anyway, again, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. However you feel, let me know.